In the shadows of Mount Olympus, where gods played with mortal lives like pawns on a divine chessboard, a single moment of vanity ignited one of the greatest wars in ancient history. This is not just a story of heroes and battles. It is a saga of divine pride, human arrogance, and a city that dared to challenge fate. It began with a wedding. Peleus and Thetis, the sea goddess, were to be wed, and every god and goddess was invited, except one, Eris, the goddess of strife. In vengeance, she arrived uninvited and cast a golden apple into the crowd. Inscribed on the fruit were 3 words, "To the fairest." What followed was chaos. Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite each claimed the apple. Unable to settle the matter, Zeus appointed a mortal to decide. Paris, the prince of Troy. Each goddess offered him a bribe. Hera promised power and kingship. Athena offered unmatched wisdom and glory in war. But Aphrodite offered the love of the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Sparta. Paris chose love, and that choice would bring ruin to his people. Helen was the daughter of Zeus and queen of Sparta, married to King Menelaus. Whether enchanted or willingly seduced, Helen left with Paris and sailed to Troy. When Menelaus discovered her disappearance, he burned with fury. He invoked an oath made by all of Helen's former suitors, a pact that bound them to defend her marriage. From every corner of Greece, kings and warriors answered the call. Agamemnon of Mycenae, Odysseus of Ithaca, Nestor, Ajax, Diomedes, and above them all, Achilles, son of Thetis, the greatest warrior of the age. 1,000 ships launched across the Aegean Sea. Vengeance had set sail. Troy was no ordinary city. Its walls, said to be crafted by Poseidon and Apollo themselves, loomed high and impenetrable. King Priam ruled the city, a wise and aging man. His sons were many, Paris, who had brought doom upon them, and Hector, the noble warrior and protector of Troy. The Greeks landed on Trojan shores, expecting a swift victory. But the war would not last days or months, but 10 long years. And it was not just mortals who fought. The gods took sides. Hera, Athena, and Poseidon backed the Greeks. Aphrodite, Apollo, and Ares sided with the Trojans. The battlefield became a stage for divine vengeance and mortal tragedy. Agamemnon, though the High King, was arrogant and rash. When he seized Briseis, a war prize belonging to Achilles, the warrior turned his back on the war. Without Achilles, the Greeks faltered. Hector pushed them back to the sea. Their ships burned, their morale withered, and Achilles remained silent in his tent. But someone else would step forward. Patroclus, closest companion to Achilles, could not stand by as the Greeks suffered. He begged Achilles to let him enter the battle, wearing Achilles' armor to inspire fear in the Trojans. Achilles agreed, but warned him not to pursue the enemy too far. Patroclus fought bravely. He drove the Trojans back, but disobeyed Achilles' warning. And then he met Hector. In single combat, Hector killed him. When Achilles learned of Patroclus's death, something in him broke. Not sorrow, not rage. Something deeper, something unstoppable. Achilles returned to battle clad in divine armor, forged by Hephaestus himself. He became death incarnate. No Trojan could stand before him. The river Scamander rose in anger, choked with corpses, trying to drown him. Still he fought. He wanted only one thing: Hector. When they met beneath Troy's gates, Hector stood his ground, though he knew it meant death. Achilles struck him down, then desecrated his body, dragging it behind his chariot again and again. Even the gods looked away. But even the mightiest warrior cannot outrun fate. Achilles had known his destiny. His mother Thetis had warned him. If he went to Troy, he would die young, but his name would live forever. If he stayed, he would live a quiet, forgotten life. He chose immortality through glory, and glory claimed him. During a fierce battle near the gates of Troy, Paris, guided by the god Apollo, fired an arrow into the fray. The shaft struck Achilles in his only vulnerable spot, his heel, the very place Thetis had held him when she dipped him in the river Styx as an infant. The hero fell. With his death, the Greeks lost their greatest warrior. Mourning swept through the camp. His armor was passed on to Odysseus, not Ajax, igniting a bitter rivalry that would end in madness and suicide. But the war was not yet over. If strength could not break Troy's walls, cunning would. And so, the Greeks turned to deception. The final move in this decade-long tragedy was about to unfold, with wood, silence, and betrayal. Odysseus devised a plan unlike any before, a final trick to break the unbreakable. He ordered the construction of a massive wooden horse, hollow on the inside, large enough to carry a small army within. The Greeks pretended to abandon the siege, burning their tents and sailing out of sight, leaving the horse behind on the beach as an offering to Athena. When the Trojans discovered it, the city buzzed with debate. Some urged caution. Laocoon, a Trojan priest, warned his people, "Do not trust the horse. Whatever it is, I fear the Greeks, even bearing gifts." But before his warning could take hold, two giant sea serpents, sent by the gods, slithered from the waves and crushed Laocoon and his sons in their coils. The Trojans, seeing this as a sign of divine will, opened their gates and wheeled the horse into the heart of the city. That night, Troy celebrated. Drunken joy echoed through the streets. Fires danced in the courtyards. The people, after 10 years of siege, believed the war was over. But inside the wooden horse, the Greeks waited. And after midnight, they struck. The Greek warriors climbed from the belly of the horse and opened Troy's gates to the waiting army. The Greek fleet had not sailed away. They had hidden behind a nearby island, and under the cover of darkness, they returned. Troy was taken by surprise. The sack of the city was brutal and merciless. King Priam was dragged from his palace and slaughtered at the altar of Zeus. Queen Hecuba wept over the bodies of her sons. The temples burned, the towers fell. Cassandra, daughter of Priam and cursed prophetess of Apollo, was dragged from Athena's temple by Ajax the Lesser, her warnings once again ignored. Andromache, Hector's widow, was enslaved. Her infant son, Astyanax, was hurled from the walls so he could not grow to avenge his father. Neoptolemus, the son of Achilles, painted the palace red with blood. And Helen was reclaimed by Menelaus. Some say he raised his sword to kill her, but when he looked upon her face, his rage faded. Others say she welcomed him back, untouched by guilt. No one knows the truth. Only this: the war that began with her beauty ended in fire. The Greeks had won, but victory tasted of ash. Troy was reduced to rubble. Its people were slain, scattered, or enslaved. But the gods had not finished their game. The victors suffered. Agamemnon returned home only to be murdered by his wife Clytemnestra. Ajax the Lesser defiled a temple and was struck down by Poseidon. Neoptolemus met a bloody fate in Delphi, and Odysseus wandered the seas for a decade, cursed and tormented, before finally reaching Ithaca. The war left no man unchanged. Even the victors were broken. Even the survivors were haunted. The Trojan War was more than a clash of armies. It was a collision of fate, of prophecy, of divine cruelty and mortal pride. It showed the world what happens when gods meddle in human hearts, when oaths are made lightly, when desire outweighs duty. But from the ashes of Troy, new legends rose. Aeneas, cousin to Hector, fled the burning city carrying his father and son. Guided by the gods, he would journey far, and one day his descendants would found another great empire, Rome. Thus, the war that destroyed one civilization would become the myth that birthed another. And so the story endured, told and retold across centuries. A tale of war, glory, betrayal, and the fall of a city built too close to the gods. The fall of Troy was just the beginning. What ancient city should we uncover next? Tell us in the comments. And if you want more tales of gods, heroes, and the empires they built or destroyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. New legends await.